Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm Alicia Haygood. One of the things I love talking about most is education, guys. It's a hot topic button issue. It affects every single person in this community, whether you have kids that have aged out of the education system, your home values, your community, what comes into the community, what happens in our city and our valley and our state. Everything is education. How we raise our children is based off of the education. It is absolutely of the utmost importance. And so I'm so excited to introduce you to Lloyd Hopkins of the $1 Million Teacher Project. I came across this organization here a few months ago, and I'm so happy that Lloyd decided to join me today. And I'm so excited to introduce you to the purpose and the reason to help our kids and our teachers, most importantly, through this organization. So we're going to take a short break, but before we take that break, don't forget to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast listening app. You can find us anywhere on social media, on any podcast listening platform, and you can watch this video episode on YouTube on the Scottsdale Vibes channel. So we're going to come right back with Lloyd Hopkins of the $1 Million Teacher Project. Buying a home can be scary and sometimes frustrating. But all of that can go away with the right realtor. And that's where Shawn Shackleton with the Shackleton Group is here for you. Shawn has over 25 years experience in real estate. She's here to get you what you want and won't settle for less. She's experienced, knowledgeable, and understands this market, which these days is always changing. Take the stress out of your next home purchase by calling Shawn at 480-734-7277. You can also find her at theshackletongroup.com. If there is one thing that most people can agree on, it's an equal quality education for all. And Arizona seems to always be in the news when it comes to our education system, good or bad. Lloyd Hopkins is an author, philanthropist, and organizational leader with extensive experience in community and nonprofit work. He has worked in and around education for 18 years. He's an ASU alum, go Sun Devils, with his degree in nonprofit management and leadership, and took his passion for ensuring quality education for all to launch the teacher recruitment and retention program, $1 Million Teacher. He had started in 2016, and here in 2023, in just a short time, he has already been recognized as one of Phoenix's most admired leaders by the Phoenix Business Journal and nominated to the Governor of Arizona's Education Retention Taskforce. That's just a few of your accolades, Lloyd. I could go on and on about just everything you've done. Your purpose is obviously for our kids and our education system. So thank you for speaking with us today. Let's talk about what the $1 Million Teacher Project is and how it really came to fruition from your idea to what it is today.
Yeah, Alicia, first, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on your platform. I feel like when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to a fellow teacher fan.
100%.
Somebody who gets it. I know your mom was a teacher, and so you saw the plight firsthand. And some of what you experienced and what you saw is what led me to launch this organization. As you kind of mentioned, I've worked in and around education in different capacities for a number of years. I worked with youth offenders. I worked dropout prevention. I worked with after school recreation. The early part of my career all revolved around helping kids overcome their out of the classroom needs so they could be more successful in the classroom, which is absolutely essential to student success. But the time that impacted me the most was the roughly 6 years that I spent directly in the classroom as a teaching assistant in the Alhambra Elementary School District at Barcelona Middle School. The reason why I say that time was so impactful for me is because it really exposed me to the plight of teachers firsthand, how they're often underpaid, undervalued, under-resourced, and overworked. And that's a community issue. That's something that we all should care about, because 8 to 9 months out of the year, if you have a child, teachers are spending more time with your kid than you are.
Oh, yeah. And if you ask my kid, that's a good thing.
Right. Absolutely. And if you, and there's nothing that more directly impacts a student than the teacher. When we start having a conversation about creating an equitable education system, there are a lot of programs and emphasis on the child. which that's one part of it. Things that directly impact the kid. There's a lot of emphasis on technology, buildings, but not enough emphasis on the teacher and the teaching profession itself. And so I saw that gap. I saw that need that needed to be filled, because if we really want to have an equitable education system for all, if we really want to empower communities, that starts on school campuses, that starts in classrooms, and teachers are the nucleus of that. And so it was that realization that motivated me and inspired me to launch this organization in 2016. And now we're here today talking about it as we're starting to expand our program statewide.
You mentioned something early on, and I think this is so critical. What happens outside of school hours for these kids 100% affects their ability to learn. And it's crazy when you spend, like you said, 6 hours, 7 hours a day at school and a very short time at home. But those 4 or 5 hours that you have at home is going to affect your mood, your sleeping, your eating, your ability to learn. So it's working both sides of that. And when the kids aren't getting the support and need that they need at home, the teachers only have so much capacity to fill that. So that's a huge gap to be filled. You mentioned my mom was in education. Her school saw a transition. It was really interesting. Very upper elite white school transition because the community transitioned. By the time that she retired, her school was almost a Title I school. She had a 15-year-old pregnant kid in her 7th grade class. She taught these at-risk kids. That was her passion. So talk about that support that teachers need, not just our students need. And you'll hear me getting choked up because it's a love. Like, these kids are they're innocent,
I love it. This is why I'm excited to be talking to you. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind conversation, and I hope that your listeners glean a lot of inspiration, motivation from this dialogue you and I have. So it's kind of like I've said a moment ago, the health of our teaching profession is a community issue. It's something that we all should care about, and we all should figure out a way to get involved that's realistic and meaningful, fits our interest level, and fits our lifestyle. But in some shape, form, or fashion, we all should be obligated or feel compelled to get involved in some capacity. So the approach that $1 Million Teacher Project takes is every one of our programs is community driven. We don't do anything without having our stakeholders involved. So the way that I describe $1 Million Teacher Project is that we're a pathway for involvement. I don't expect everybody to be a crazy teacher fan like me and to go out and create a whole organization to support everything. But what I do believe is everybody in some shape, form, or fashion does care. Everybody in some shape, form, or fashion does want to be involved. You just have to create the pathways for that. And so that's what we do. So our model revolves around the 3 pillars of recognition, support, and compensation. Under each of those pillars is a different pathway that people can choose to get involved to support their classrooms, to support their teachers, and to support their students. So we do things like take a teacher to lunch, where we bring full catered lunch celebrations directly on the school campuses to celebrate teachers over lunch so they can turn their brains off for an hour and just feel the love and appreciation for being an educator. That's driven by business partners and restaurants. Every aspect of the program I'm going to talk to you about, and us getting to this point after 7 years, has been fueled by the kindness of friends and strangers, people that have heard about what we're doing and have wanted to get involved, want to turn on your podcast microphone and let me come on and talk. And there might be somebody that hears it that says, hey, I can donate a lunch to a school. I can help out. All of this plays a part. We do things like classroom support team, where we bring community volunteers, interns, from the community colleges, the universities, to develop teams and work directly on a school campus in support of a grade level of teachers. Those teams are helping reduce teacher workloads, helping with classroom management, helping with parent engagement. So there is an actual partnership. between the community, which is represented by the parents, and the classroom, because classroom shouldn't be looked at as a babysitting service. It should be looked at as an extension of my household, an extension of my family, and vice versa, that a kid's household is an extension of the classroom. So how that's facilitated is that there needs to be communication, dialogue, collaboration between both of those audiences. And so we look to really stimulate that interaction. And we also do, to impact compensation, we do a program called Teacher Appreciation Package, where we work with businesses to offer meaningful discounts on goods and services to educators at least twice a year, once during November and once during May, which is when Teacher Appreciation Week is. And I point out each of those different programs because the key ingredient is that they're all community driven. It is what I want your audience to really walk away from this conversation is that it truly is possible to change the world. You just have to create the right solution. And what I believe is that the right solutions are always community driven, cost effective, and easy access. If you can create solutions that have those three things, it's possible for you to create something that can be scaled and truly change the world.
One of the things, a lot of that for some of these lower income communities and stuff here in town, monetary efforts are not always there for everyone. There are simple things you can do. I love what y'all do of these handwritten notes to teachers. Talk about something as simple as that can completely change a person's day. And how that's another community involvement that you were talking about.
Yeah. And the reality is that being a teacher is largely a thankless job. It's one of the most important professions that we have. And especially a teacher in some of the most distressed communities can go a whole career without even receiving a pencil or a gift as a thank you, And so them getting a handwritten note from a partner, from students, from a sponsor, where it just says thank you for the hard work you do every day can be transformative because they feel seen, they feel valued. We do a program, one of our campaigns is called Pass the Apple, where we engage people to just turn on their phone, turn on their camera, and do a video thanking their favorite teacher or saying something nice about a teacher that impacted their life, share it on social media, challenge a friend to do the same. So we're turning teacher recognition into a year-round sustained effort. But these are easy things that don't cost a dime, that can be transformative and super impactful because it turns teacher appreciation into a community movement, and that's what we want to see. And we want to make it easy for people to be able to do that in as many different ways as possible.
There is, and you keep using this word community, and it's like my whole purpose in life is community awareness, community connection is like what I live for and thrive off of, because there is so much good in our community here that when we focus on that and find it, it's really one of those things. I feel like the light bulb goes off daily. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. And that's so easy to do, talking about your favorite teacher, recognizing that and just saying thank you at the end of the day. Like there's nothing hard about that for that recognition. We talked about a little bit more about what's going on outside and how it affects our teachers and stuff like that. I love it when people are like, oh, teachers only work 8 or 9 months out of the year. First of all, that's a lie. They work year round. And the break, quote unquote, that they get during the summer is absolutely not a break because they're already concerned and worrying about the next school year and what's happening to their students during the summer.
Or not to cut you off, or sometimes they're also working second jobs. They're working an additional job to supplement their income because they're grossly underpaid.
Yes. So that was what was going to lead to my next question is the whole purpose is teacher retention. I've always said, and I questioned my mom this as a child, like, how are teachers not the highest paid profession in the world? You can't become a doctor without a teacher. You cannot learn without a teacher. Everything in this entire world literally starts with teaching. So how do we make this loud that like this is who needs to be paid more, because without them you're never going to have a future of any kind without a teacher first.
You know what? It goes back to what I said a moment ago. And again, I just absolutely love to hear you talk about like the need of us as a community to support educators, because you're one of those people that get it. And so I truly hope this is just the start of us figuring out ways to collaborate, because you are the type of people we like to work with. So what I'll say is that the way that we amplify this message is creating ways to intersect through things like this. Again, even you just letting me on this platform to talk about this for the time that we have together is a huge part around exposing this message to more people that may not have been thinking about this. So a big part of the Work $1 Million Teacher Project is advocacy. So we want to remind people of why this is important. Similar to all the bullet points that you just ran through, you're reminding people why this is important. Then what we do as an organization is, after we've reminded you how important this is, we then want to give you the pathways to get involved. Then we want you to turn that into action. We don't want you to just say, yeah, they're right, I do need to support my teacher. Then you just go back to watching TV. Like, no, we want you then to get on our website, look at some of the programs that we're doing, figure out which one fits your interest level, because the reality is that any form of activism can't be performative, right? Like, we can't base it on what you see somebody else do or what's the kind of the buzz thing to do today, because that's not sustainable. In order to change a system and to move communities forward, it takes ongoing, sustained effort. So you have to find something that you can actually commit to, whether that's donating your time, whether that's donating money, whether that's hopping on your social media and doing hashtag pass the apple. Whatever it is, it has to be something that's realistic for you and your life that can be sustainable. If that's volunteering in your kid's classroom, if that's helping to grade papers once a month, once a year, all of us, if all of us and again, I keep using the word community, if all of us as a community commit to that, like just figuring out a way that's realistic for me to get involved to support my teacher, it will move mountains. And it will reshape the experience of what it means to be a teacher for the community and how we value and view teachers. And it will change the experience of teachers and how they view themselves in this profession. Because right now, a lot of teachers feel under attack, because of policy, because of different challenges that they have just getting into the classroom trying to educate. And so
they are being attacked. I mean, they have the right to feel that way, because they absolutely are. They're always in the crosshairs of everything, and they're the only ones not speaking up or able to speak up sometimes because of retaliation or people, a parent's like, well, I don't want this teacher. It's like everyone has to speak up and fight for themselves. And these poor teachers are caught in the crosshairs of life.
And we want to be able to empower teachers. We want that teacher voice to be amplified. We want to view teachers as community leaders, because they really are. They're the nucleus of a neighborhood. So my call to action is for everybody to realize the responsibility, because what teachers are doing in the classroom is really shaping our future. And what comes out of those classrooms impacts all walks of life. All business sectors, all industries are impacted by what our classrooms produce, and our teachers have that in their hands. So I encourage everybody to, first realize that and really own it. Think about the teachers that have impacted your life, whether it was a good or a bad experience. None of us escape life without being impacted by a teacher in some shape, form, or fashion. So we need to remember that, put ourselves back into the place of being kids again. And then once we're back in that space, then figure out how to act. Okay, what is going to be my way to make sure I support teachers on an ongoing basis? And partnering with $1 Million Teacher Project can be just one of those strategies.
Yeah. You mentioned so many different ways of getting involved. If you can volunteer, join the PTO, donate. I am one that, I will go to, when I go to Costco, I end up buying an extra box of snacks for my kids' teachers, right? Like they need snacks in their class. It's that simple. Um, Buying an extra a box of pencils. Like it's little things that like that goes back to pass the apple, how simple an act of kindness really goes a long way in the classroom. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. And it resonates with teachers. And I think sometimes people like, and what I love about what we're talking about right here is that you don't have to overthink it. It doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. And because when I first launched this organization in 2016, I was trying to go as big as possible for educators. I was going into my pocket, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on gifts and different things to give to teachers. And I was going broke behind it just because I wanted to make sure teachers felt that value. But then after doing that work and really talking to teachers, they're like, yeah, those things are great. But really, you just coming in with a handwritten note, some pencils, other ways to support my class is just as impactful as you coming in here with a big screen TV, and so people don't have to overthink it. It's the small things on a ongoing contributed in an ongoing way that make a world that are transformative.
And it, again, back to this word community, Lloyd, that you and I keep bringing up. Maybe you can't do anything monetary or the time. Somebody, maybe talk to your company or something like that and see if they can do something, right? It's all about reaching inside for your own connections and who do you know that can help somebody else, right? You don't have to give everything, as you found out the hard way, or the expensive way, I should say. It's who do I know that can help, right? Because the more of us that come together in a smaller way, the bigger impact we can have for a longer lasting way.
Absolutely. We all have talents and gifts
Right.
that we were given to contribute those things to the world.
I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, let's talk about some other ways. It's not just the community helping the teachers, but I want to talk about really the staff and administration as well, because that's a huge, from the top down aspect. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back. When it comes to protecting you, your family, and all your assets, you need to have someone that you can trust. And that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy Mueller has lived in Scottsdale his whole life. How can anyone else know your needs more than someone who's been here and seen it all? Jeremy and his team are always ranked in the top % at State Farm. He cares, he's knowledgeable, and most importantly, he's always available. Don't believe me? Give him a call at 480-515-5223 or find him at jeremymueller.com. We're sitting here with Lloyd Hopkins, the $1 Million Teacher Project. Lloyd, we were just talking about the importance of community and how something very simple about writing a handwritten note to donating lunch to the whole school, everything in between literally matters and affects a teacher's day, which in turn affects our children's education. And what we do in the community for our children also affects the children in the learning environment. One thing that I am very involved in my kids' school, I've done everything from PTO to love you teachers. I will never be one. My son taught me during COVID that I'm a terrible teacher, and we agreed very much on that. Know your place. Mine is on the outside looking in and helping where I can. One thing I've been aware of, though, and I think this works in every kind of corporation or job, from small businesses to huge, the top down matters. What's going up at the top affects the students, down to the people that keep our campuses beautiful, to our security, to the front desk staff, to our teachers. What do y'all do, and do y'all really work with the staff and administration as well? Because they get a burnout too, because at the end of the day, they're getting just as much pushback as the teacher every day in the classroom. And that really can affect the teacher's position on what their capability is based off the administration at their school.
Yeah, so when we partner with a school, we're really bolstering that campus's access to resources, people that are bringing their time, talent, and treasures to that campus to help fill gaps, help address needs, and ideally help reduce some of the the workload on the entire leadership team and the people that are responsible for delivering our education to our students in some shape, form, or fashion. When we partner with a school, we want administrators to be able to just focus on that big job that they have of running a campus with hundreds of thousands of kids. They don't always have the time to devote to business development, bringing in partners, all those extra things. So we act as that conduit, to help bring those additional resources in. We want teachers to just be able to teach, and not also have to wear the multiple hats that they always have to wear. We want them to do what they got into the profession for. So we strive to come in and bring some of those other elements onto a school campus that are essential to help a school move. Because what we're rooted in is that it really takes more than just a school itself to educate a community. It really takes community involvement to also do that. And so we have to start viewing our schools, our principals, our teachers as our partners, our collaborators in regards to educating our children. And so looking at how do we participate in that, we know they have a big job. It's hard to address all the needs of a student body, which can be varied. You have kids that are coming in onto a campus with their own lives and all the things that they go through and experience. And when you have underfunded schools that are also not always in the position to be the most prepared to address those challenges, it's an even greater need for nonprofits to be involved, for the business community to be involved, so schools can really be successful at that big job of trying to shape our future.
I mean, seriously. Tell me, what at home can we do more to lighten the load for our teachers as well? I had my kids' parent-teacher conferences recently, and I asked the teacher, like, what can I do for you? And she was just flabbergasted. I would ask that basic question. She's like, what do you mean? It's like, what do you need from me at home? Like, you have my kid all day. Like, I'm just a continuation of what you do. I'll set the morals and values at home, but when it comes to a learning environment, you are setting that precedence. And people don't, as a parent, you follow the teacher's lead too. Let me explain that to you. You follow the teacher as well. That's their job. And if you're not listening to the teacher, your kid's not going to listen to the teacher either. And then you're all set up for failure. So at the end of the day, I tell my kids all the time, like, no, your teacher said this. This is how your teacher is teaching you. We're going to continue on for this reason. That is crucial as a parent to realize at the end of the day, who your kid is at home and who your kid is at school could be two different people. Your kid is always different with a parent than it is with another adult. And you need to respect that teacher, because they're the ones that get your kids for 6 to 7 hours a day. They're the ones doing that. And if you're fighting with that adult, that kid is never going to succeed in that classroom because he's choosing not to based off of your actions as a parent. So please listen to the teacher, because they really do know what's going on. If you're like, that's not my kid, it's like, that's not your kid at home, but that's who your kid is at school. So what's going on at home that's affecting his learning environment at school, and talk to the teacher about that. Because I guarantee you, if you ask the teacher, what can I do at home to help you? Oh my God, they will drop everything and answer you, because that is going to lead to a positive learning environment for your child every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I think you're hitting it right on the head. Well, the first thing I think parents can do is, one, realize that teacher that I'm sending my kid to is a human being that needs support and they need involvement. And also on the other side, it's also important for our school communities, our teachers, our administration to also remember that parents are humans as well. And some parents are coming from stressed environments also, where they have limited resources and limited capacity, and they're doing the best, and sometimes they're trying and don't necessarily know how to help. So I think there needs to be increased touch points, opportunities to connect, talk, and strategize together, because there are things that happen. Like, we have our parent teacher conferences like you talked about, and schools will do like the fall festival and things of that nature. But there's not often opportunities where we're coming together at the table now, really strategizing. All right, let's build some rapport, let's build a relationship, and let's build partnership. Because also, I think it's important for parents to think about what their capacity is and, okay, what can I contribute? As I mentioned earlier, like, what can I contribute? How can I help with this? And then it's also important for teachers to be in a position to look at that and look at the availability and what parents are offering when they are coming and saying, okay, let me help. How can I help? And being able to utilize that support, so I think increased dialogue is so important, and really looking at each other as partners is essential.
I love that. It's so true, but it's a partnership between you and your children as well. And that communication is key. And if you start having that communication with your children, it'll make you have that communication with the teacher, and it's just a rolling effect of positivity.
You got it.
Change that can all
the more parents are involved in a student's education, it rises the expectation for everybody. It raises the expectation for the student. It raises the expectation for the parent, their self. It also raises the expectation for the teacher. Like, it raises the expectation for everybody.
As you know, we talk about that. I was trying to get, my son is he's like, my day's fine. He's one of those, oh, it's fine. I play with my friends, whatever. And then
he must be a teenager.
Close. He's acting like it. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I told him, I was like, if you don't communicate what is going on in your day, I'm just going to have to go be friends with your friends, and they're going to tell me. And his eyes get huge. He's like, what? And I was like, you got to tell me, buddy. Tell me what goes on in your day, or I'm going to start snooping. I'm going to start asking questions. And he's like, no, I'll tell you, it just forms a bond. And I do that with my kids' teachers too. It's like, I check in on them, and it's like, hey, I heard you were absent yesterday. Is everything okay? Right? Like, just care, just care the smallest bit, and it'll be a difference.
We need to replicate Alicia Hayden everywhere. Everywhere.
Lloyd, what does a perfect world look like in education for you?
Cool. Perfect world looks like the starting pay for new teachers being $75,000 a year. It looks like schools being well funded, despite social, economic, geographic location of the school or the campus. It looks like state funding, investing in ecosystems of support. So understanding that teacher retention and recruitment isn't just about paying them more money, even though that's important. We definitely need to pay them more money, but we also need to make sure that they have the resources and support to really deliver the level of instruction that we want to see for our kids, so our students can benefit. And a community that celebrates teachers, where our teachers are in high regard, they're valued, on pace with celebrities and athletes. We should be looking at our teachers that same way. So that's what a perfect world would look like for me.
Oh, I'm with you. I'll join that perfect world any day, Lloyd. I love it.
Let's build it. We're building it now.
We are. It's step by step. It's like anything in life. Anything in life is step by step. And sometimes we get so caught up in what we want the end results to be, we forget the longevity of us to get there. But if you keep at it, slow and steady always wins the race. I mean, we all know the tortoise and the hare story. It will happen. It will happen. I know it will. Lloyd, we will change the subject, to end on a happy note. Let me ask you, Lloyd, what is your favorite Scottsdale vibe? What is your favorite thing about Scottsdale?
Oh, my favorite thing about Scottsdale, the food.
Besides me, of course, Lloyd. I know it's everyone's top answer.
Alicia Hayden. Everybody's playing for second place. Like, everybody else is playing for second place now. So you're number one.
Oh, I love it. I'm just kidding.
You're number one. And number two, I think the restaurant community. I think one of the best vibes in Scottsdale is the dining, some of the nightlife, the entertainment, but definitely the food. I'm a amateur foodie, so I like a good drink, some good food, good atmosphere. I'm sold. I probably won't leave.
I love it. I like to say I'm a basic foodie too. I like that. Like, everyone's like, what's your favorite? I was like, to eat. That's my favorite, right? Like, I'm good at it. I don't know what to say. I love it. Well, Lloyd, where can we find out information? Where can we help you? Let's get the community involved and let's really make $1 Million Teacher blow up because it does for all the right reasons.
Absolutely. So if folks want to get involved with us, you can visit our website, www.milliondollarteacherproject.org. You can find us on all social media platforms at MDT Project. So you can search us on all platforms and hit the programs page on our website. Look at the programs we're offering and pick one that speaks to you, and then reach out and become a volunteer or a donor or a sponsor, because that's what we need to really grow our work. What anybody that's running a nonprofit needs, because folks have to understand nonprofits are still businesses. The only thing that separates a nonprofit from a for-profit is tax exempt status. But we still have the responsibility of running a sound business that's creating impact. And what we need more than a pat on the back is your contribution, is your gift, is your donation, is your time, talent, and treasures. So reach out. Let's get involved.
I love it. I love it. And again, all of this information will be in the description of this episode. Don't worry about it if you didn't catch it. Go read the description. It'll be on our YouTube, on social media, as well as Scottsdale Vibes Podcast and wherever you find this podcast on your podcast listening app. Lloyd, you're onto something. I'm so excited that we got to connect. I'm so excited for you and the organization. I know that we will keep doing it. We'll keep helping each other. And most importantly, Lloyd, we will help this community. Because that's what matters.
Absolutely.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have the calendar of events coming up next. When it comes to family-friendly dentistry, there's only one place in Scottsdale, and that's Arizona Center for Laser Dentistry. Teeth cleaning, innovative, pain-free laser dentistry, teeth whitening, root canals, and really any dental need you may have, Dr. Rob and his staff at Arizona Center for Laser Dentistry can handle it all. They're more than just a dentist, they really are family. We've been going there for over 3 years and my family loves them. When your kids get excited to go to the dentist, you know you've got a good one. Dr. Rob DeVito is the only dentist in town that can handle it all. Give him a call at 480-990-1905. You can find him on the web at drdevito.com. And don't forget to tell him you heard him on the podcast. Thanks so much to Lloyd Hopkins and everyone at the $1 Million Teacher. And if you heard anything, it was all about community. You too can get involved. Send a simple thank you note to your teacher. Ask them what you can do for them. Send them in a snack. Whatever you can afford to do, whether it's monetary, time, or anything, or connecting someone that you know to help out more, that's what this is all about. Community connection. And I know you have the ability to do something good today. One of those things that we can do is support $1 Million Teachers. So to find out more, you can go visit their website at mdtproject.org. You can also find them on every social media platform at MDT Project. And they even have their own podcast called the Teachers Lounge Project on your podcast listening app. All of this is in the description of this episode and on our YouTube channels and social media. So don't worry if you didn't write them down while listening on the road or something. But let's transition to some fun things that's going on here in Scottsdale. I am so excited. The weather has cooled down. Everyone's coming back in town. So this is it. Now we're officially going Scottsdale. The 12th annual Bentley Scottsdale Polo Championship is happening this Saturday. We are lucky enough to have Ricky Cooper and Sterling Jones on last week talking about playing. You will see me there, so I hope to see you there. Happening Saturday, November 4th at Westworld. Tickets are still on sale, so don't miss out. And you can get a table, you can get individual tickets, whatever suits your needs. Bring out your fancy hats and dress to impress, as the fashion show is just as good as the match on the grass. And one of my family's favorite things to do each year is Canal Convergence. It's happening. It's starting November 4th through the 13th. It's when the canal in Old Town turns into this beautiful artwork exhibit. It's free to go to. Date night, friend night, ladies night, guys night, family night, whatever suits your needs, or go by yourself. It is a wonderful time. Beautiful art pieces. This year's is Power Play in Art. It's their 11th year of doing it here. So artists from all over the world come and do this. So I'm really excited. With cooler temperatures mean the farmers markets are back open. So go to Old Town and check out the farmers market where all of your local vendors are there to support you. Eat local, eat healthy. It'll just help you and it'll help your education so we can turn it all back in. It's right off of Main Street in Old Town. It's a really fun time every Saturday it's happening, so go check it out. Again, all of this is in the description of this episode. And if you missed anything, go back and listen to past episodes. Don't forget to check out the Scottsdale City Lifestyle magazine where there's even more information about this amazing place we get to call home. Have a great week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I will definitely be seeing you around town.